we begin a new series. I've titled the series, Hope and Help for the Holidays. Hope and help for Christmas. Hope and help for the holidays. And, and I think about it, in Isaiah 7:14 is a passage in the Old Testament where hundreds of years before Jesus ever even arrived on the scene, these words were shared there. It says, therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son and call him Emmanuel. Call him Emmanuel. That verse set the stage for what we celebrate today, what we think about of the birth of Christ, and that piece of history that changed everything. And so for centuries, Christians have made space in their crowded lives and hearts during the Christmas season through participating in something, a daily devotion thing called Advent. Some of you were raised with that. I was not. That wasn't a part of our tradition, but has become a part of our tradition because I see a real high value in that, as it's preparing it's doing whatever we can to prepare our heart for Jesus and what he wants to do in our life, but especially in the Christmas season. The word Advent means coming. So it's looking forward. It's pointing toward. And the season of Advent refers to this 4-week window period of time leading up to Christmas Day. And Jesus' coming was not just a one-time event as a child so long ago, but his coming really invades our lives. It affects our lives day in and day out. It should, day in and day out, every day that we live. If we have eyes to see what God may want to do through us. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today. 2 weeks ago, we had Dr. Joe Castleberry here, good friend, president of Northwest University, of which we're alums. And he shared about a book that he wrote and had some available. And we ended up purchasing a box of them. So we have them at the Information Center. And I encourage you, maybe you weren't here that day or weren't able to pick one up. This would be a great resource for you for the next month, 4 weeks, to help in your Advent. Great, easy to read, simple little pieces for day-to-day kind of devotional ideas. Very insightful, it's written different than many of the Advent books that we've used in the past. And I think you'll find it very informative, very helpful on that as well. So you can stop by the Information Center and they'll help you with that. Here's what I'd like to challenge us with today, each of us, to think about this, is I'd like to challenge us to create space, intentionally create some space this Christmas. Let's look for windows, look for opportunities for Jesus to invade our lives every day and use us every day to touch people and show people Jesus. And the beauty of that is this. Here's what I think about, is God wants me and invites me to participate in that. And that's amazing that he wants me to do this and allows me to do this, to be a part of helping people find hope, helping people see Jesus. And that's exciting to me. Let's get excited about what God is doing this Christmas. And I just challenge you with that. Can you believe it? God invites us to be a part of this. Yesterday at the ladies' brunch, the speaker is a good friend of ours, Cheryl Johnsen. Her and her husband pastor a church in Issaquah, Washington. It's the Microsoft capital, the hub there, as you may know. And Amazon, all these are in that area. And so she was sharing with the ladies. I thought this was interesting, so I wrote it down to share this morning. She was in a meeting the other day, and there's an executive that was in their church that was in this meeting, and he works for Amazon. And he was a part of the team, the lead team, on the Alexa project. You know what the Alexa project is? Alexa, dim the lights. Alexa, Who won the Super Bowl in 1957? This kind of stuff. Ask any question. The interesting comment, she said, that in this meeting, this guy said, the number one question people ask Alexa? They track this kind of stuff. The number one question people ask Alexa is this: is there really a God? Number one question asked of Alexa. In the top sphere of questions, they all seem to revolve, it seemed like, around spiritual questions. Here's one. Alexa, how can I be forgiven? Find forgiveness. Alexa, what is hope? Think about some of the questions and what that tells me. And as I heard her say it again, I thought to myself, it reinforces to me that today, in the world in which we live, in the culture in which we live, people are interested in spiritual things. Many of them just don't know who to ask. They're asking a little box that sits on a countertop. God may position you this week to be Alexa for somebody, to help them discover how to find forgiveness. You're going to hear a story in a minute about this past Thursday night. One of our outreach groups was ministering. In fact, let me just tell you the story. A team of people from faith, we call it an outreach group. It's a small group. Some of you, if you want to be in it, you can be in it. Put on your card. Love to be a part of the outreach group. We'll notify you of some of the events coming up. They've got a number of them scheduled throughout the month of December. I'm going to tell you about it in just a moment. But Thursday night, they went and did a feed for the homeless in Pasco. And there's a little park called Peanuts Park in Pasco. It's down near Vieira's Bakery. Everybody knows where Vieira's Bakery is, right? Yeah. So half a block down, probably, in this little open, is Peanuts right next door. And so it's Peanuts Park. And a lot of the homeless gathered there and so on. And so we have teams that go down there, and we've given out gloves and hats and blankets and sleeping bags and tents. We've all kinds of things in the past years. But so they were going there on Thursday to do a distribution of food and feeding. And so our team was there and able to work with people. And I understand they fed about 50 people that gathered there that day. And over the course of time, part of the idea behind the team being there is to be able to converse with people and talk with them, hear their story, help answer questions. And so one of the team leaders, he shared with me, we flew into Seattle, and so I was driving home, and I was on the phone with him, talking with him, asking him how it went on Thursday. And he was sharing with me, and he said he had opportunity. He said our team had opportunity to talk with a lot of people. But one conversation that I had with a man, he said, who believed that God was mad at him. And he said, I got a chance to help him see God's not mad at you. We got him a Bible and helped in that process. There was a mom there with 6 kids that had lost their place to live. They were able to help them find her, get some help for a place to live. And great stories emerged from this piece. And I thought, my heart, when I heard him I was in my car, as I said, my heart kind of jumped. And as I thought, that's where Jesus would have been. That's what he would have been doing, I think, on Thursday night maybe. Making a difference in people's lives and something like that. And as I think about this God with us, and when that Isaiah passage said they'll call him Emmanuel, the name Emmanuel means God with us. And the beauty of that name is it's a reminder to us. God's always with us. And Jesus, he lived amongst us for a period of time. And then when he left, he said, I need to go, but I'll give my Holy Spirit to you to walk with you, to be a comforter, a counselor, and all these things. So he's with us all the time. As you're going about your work, as you're with your family, he's with you. And if we're open and looking for opportunities and listening to his voice, he guides us and leads us to conversations and so on. And so anyway, I love that. But, I believe this, that what a church believes will shape how it lives, its life, its lives. And here at Faith, if you've been here for any length of time, you've heard us say this phrase that I try to use it every week. And it's this, we love to give our lives away for the sake of other people. Give ourselves away for the sake of other people. It's not just about us getting together and saying, oh, you look nice today, and where are you going to lunch? And what'd you do this weekend? Sure, those are part of being community gathering, but it's more than that. It's looking beyond us. And we want to be Jesus to our community and his fingerprints to come through us in people's lives. And so we believe the church should be known for that, as well as integrity in the process. And as we head into December and launch this series, Hope and Help for the Holidays, I want to inform you of our December initiative, what we're focusing on this month. And if you've been here for any length of time, you know our commitment to our community and to the underserved. And historically, before I came 23 years ago, the church on Christmas Eve would receive a special offering. And we do 2 gatherings on Christmas Eve. We're doing 4 and 6 this year. And during that service, at one point, we sing some Christmas carols. Usually there's like a manger here, and we invite people to come and bring a special offering, gift to the Lord, to Jesus. We give gifts to one another. Why not give a special gift to Jesus, right? So we've used those gifts over the years for various projects. And we usually alternate. It's like one year it'll be for an orphanage in Bolivia. Well, one year it'll be we expanded our nursery area. One year we bought a van for our ministry so we could serve our community. One year we did carpet in the lobby. You see different things and off and on and on. This year we're combining. We decided to combine. And I wanted to explain to you why and to give you that picture this morning as to the why of that and what it looks like. But we've a number of special compassion outreach efforts we've identified and packaged. And all of you should receive a letter in your mailbox tomorrow, unless you received it yesterday, from me. And in it will be a letter explaining this in greater detail, and then a card like the one you received in your program we'll refer to in just a moment. But we're trying to identify, and I want to show you this morning how this outreach is going to go this Christmas, how you can be a participant, maybe even your family, serve in one of these areas, or be a part of one of these ministry compassion outreaches, or praying for sure, and giving, being a part of that as well. So, but along with these compassion outreach efforts, we've been made aware in the last month of a problem with our own facility. This building's now 15 years old. It's hard to believe, 15 years old. But in a rainstorm about a month ago, I was informed by our maintenance guy and business guy that they identified 22 different leak spots in our roof, in here, in the lobby, hallways. And obviously, we've known we've had a problem in the cafe area for a while. You may have seen even there's some buckets there today. Some of you thought that was the offering bucket. You're putting your offering in it, but it's not. It's not it. But, and so we recognize, something's got to be done. I guess when they say that the warranty on that roof is 15 years, boy, they got it down to the hour. Huh? But the company that installed it went out of business. The warranty was dished off to a different company, and they don't care about whatever. Anyway, so we've been working behind the scenes for a couple months now at the board, looking at how we can do it and what we're going to do. And we've worked over the years, probably 17, 18 years. We've worked hard to build some reserves, recognizing fiscal responsibility, leadership. And so we set up buckets. And we have a general reserve bucket, and we have a capital fund reserve bucket. We have a missions reserve bucket. And what we would do, originally when we started it, was the goal was to fill these buckets, and we started with the general fund reserve. So if there was a lull in giving over summer months or whatever, and we weren't able to make payroll or pay the light bill or whatever, you dip out of that bucket to help. You get that. I mean, you have budgets at your house. And so we set those up, and we've lived with them. And in recent years, the last probably 5 to 7 years, some of those buckets have depleted a little bit. And our attendance has been down, as you've seen on some of that, and plateaued. And so we were trying to keep the buckets in reserve. And we have reserves, but not to the extent of when we discovered we need a new roof. So our board's been addressing the issue. We secured 4 bids, did due diligence, research on the groups, and selected our roofing company this last week and set a date. They're starting December 10th. We had to give them our deposit of 30% down, and so we've given them that check out of our reserves. But if we used all of our reserves, it would deplete our reserves, and that's not a smart thing, we recognize. So as we began addressing this, said, let's do an initiative in December, sharing the vision with our people. But one thing I want us to communicate very clearly to our people is this. It's not just about this building. We don't just tuck in then and don't give away to missions. We don't keep from serving our community. We can do both. And I believe God will bless us as we continue to do both. And I think you'll see in a minute how he is. But, and so that's what happened. Well, I had a conversation with a gentleman, a businessman, this last week. And I wanted to have it personally, but weren't able to. And so it was texting. That's not always a good thing. And as I shared with him this vision of this initiative, and the breakdown, he couldn't get over the fact that so much of the money that we're hoping to raise, $150,000 we're hoping to raise in December, how much was going to the building and not to those in need. And he said, I feel like that's an abuse of the time of year and what's going on. And I'm sitting poolside reading this text going, oh man, okay. I wanted a face-to-face kind of thing. And so I'm working on my response and trying to explain. And I said, listen, let me help you with this. Faith gives away over $300,000 every year. 15 to 18% of our income is given away. The majority of that, over half of it for sure, is given away locally in our community, stays in our community. The other goes overseas globally and so on. So that's the day-to-day ongoing thing. Ministry happens 7 days a week through faith in our community. We believe that commission that Jesus shared is one that he gives us to share day in and day out, not just Christmas, not just the holidays. And we have a responsibility to take care of this building because as a result of our gathering, we go and we make a difference. And that influence and so on. And so as I shared some of this with him, I got ready to send the text, and I told my wife, I said, I hope he gets it. We'll be having a conversation. And, I shared with you the outreach Thursday night to Peanuts Park, the feeding program. But there are things, there's Celebrate Recovery, there's Dayspring Ministry, working with people coming in and out of the jail. There's Union Gospel Missions that we support weekly or monthly, and feeding and housing hurting people every day. There's Mothers of Preschool, there's youth, there's different groups. And there's things happening all the time that oftentimes are connected to our facility. So I was trying to help him to get this. Yesterday, as these 220 ladies met in our multi-purpose room for this bringing in the holidays thing, and again, my heart was just blessed that I see all these bags of things to go to the Union Gospel Mission for their pantry. And I'm thinking of the influence of that. You see, we recognize that the influence in our community is so much more than simply what happens here on Sunday morning. Certainly this is important, and we value this time together, but it's bigger than this, and we get that. And that's why regularly we encourage people to take a next step and find a place to serve or get in a group. Or these are important pieces. So let me give you a glimpse of some of the projects that we're tying in on this initiative for December so you can get the balance on it. And I'll bring you back to the conversation with the gentleman. I said, here's some of these projects and plans in this year's initiative. First of all, feeding the homeless in Pasco. I mentioned that. Providing gloves, coats, hats, and so on for the homeless in Pasco. Working with our adopted neighborhood school in our backyard, Ruth Livingston. Schools, if you've had children in elementary school, it might have been years ago, but they do the parent-teacher conferences and so on. And through those, the counselors from Ruth Livingston have connected us by identifying some families that just are struggling and need some help. And so we've said we want to be part of that help in our community, in our backyard. And so we want to do something with that. So that's going to be a part of that. We've been asked and excited to do it, to host the celebration dinner for the grand opening of the Union Gospel Mission. Dinner for 120 people. And so we've been working with some individuals trying to help put that together. Yesterday, Gail put the plea out. We're looking for at least 20. I'm sure we'll have 50 volunteers probably. If you want to be involved in that, mark it on your connection card and we'll get together with you. But it's going to be, preparing, but also serving the meal on site at Union Gospel Mission to 120 people and bless them. We want to bless them and be a part of that. Providing, I mentioned the gifts for needy kids in the community and replacing the roof of this facility from the old building over this way as well. And so these are all part of the projects and we've identified our goal of $150,000, which is a lofty goal. But it's like I told the board, I said, this doesn't surprise God, and he'll help us. Let's see how he does the miracle. And we need to share it with our people so that we can all catch the vision. Many of you were here when we built the building and we sacrificed and to help make the building happen. Some have come since the building, and this may be your time to step up and say, hey, here's how I can help or we can help. And it's not just big gifts, it's little gifts. It's the widow who can give $10 a week. It's the $100 gifts. It's the $500. It's whatever, $10,000 gifts. That God can use all of these together and we can make this happen. And I'm excited to share with you some of the rest of the stories Paul Harvey used to say, because we're asking you to prayerfully consider bringing your best offering above and beyond the tithes and so on. Earmark it, the Christmas offering. You see a little card. You've probably looked at it already. Take it with me, if you will, right now out of your brochure. And it says Hope and Help for the Holidays on the one side. On the back side, it has a place for kind of a pledge or your gift. And if you are putting the gift in there, you don't need to put the card in there. You can just put the gift in the envelope and mark it Christmas offering. And we'll get it into the right fund and make sure you're aware. We're going to keep you posted of what's happening. We recognize that some people might need a little longer, so we're extending until January 31st. If you're going to make a pledge, by this date, I plan to give X number amount of dollars. And we're not asking, again, that everybody give the same, but it's as the Lord impresses on your heart. And something, we're asking that everyone do something so that the teenagers will give something. It'd be awesome to hear stories of kids giving something and all of us doing something. We've asked the board and pastoral team to step up and lead by example. And so as of right now, we have almost $12,000 pledged by our board leadership team and staff. And then these individuals, a couple of individuals have stepped up and said, we will give between them $60,000 in matching funds. So if someone gives a $1,000 gift, it now becomes $2,000. Somebody gives $500, it becomes $1,000. I said, you don't know the blessing that is to us. But God uses all kinds of people to help in this. And again, it's not a surprise to God, but it's a beautiful thing to see how God's going to use this as, I believe, a miracle, Christmas miracle story for us here at Faith. I followed up. Let me follow up with a conversation with the guy who was really just didn't get it on the so much to the building and are we abusing the thing and so on. I had opportunity to explain further how we're involved all year, not just Christmas. Shared this with him, and he said that helps me. This conversation. He said, I know you wanted to meet personally, and it just didn't happen, and so over the phone. But you answering those questions helped me. And he said, as a business guy, I just wasn't connecting the building with the ministry side and the helping the needy side of it. But I get it. After you shared it, I get it. By the end of the conversation, he says, count me in for $10,000. He hung up the phone. And I just, thank you, Jesus, right? I mean, those are those. And our hope is that everyone will do something. And if you're a guest today, obviously this isn't for you. You don't have to get involved. But if you call Faith home, we certainly would love to have you be a part of this. For Gail and I, we decided to set aside a project that we've been working on our house. We've been saving money for. And we sat down and talked about it and decided, you know what, we're going to delay that project and just put that money into this house. And we know it's God's money, right? And he provides. He's our provider. He'll take care of things. And so I don't know what it looks like for you, but would you prayerfully consider, God, what would you have us to do to help Faith at this season? You know, Christmas is often thought of as a time of hope. It's often thought of as a time of help, where Jesus offers people both hope and help. And more often than not, he uses people just like you and just like me to help in this. And we want to be that kind of church where it's not just about us, but it's about his kingdom. It's about his kingdom. And as we make room this Christmas, as we create space this December and look for opportunities, what we want to do with you is be sharing stories and updates throughout each weekend of how God is using us at Faith to make a difference. Some stories you'll never hear until heaven. But over the next several weeks, we're hoping to share some of the stories to give you a glimpse of how God is using you and this church. And God has his fingerprints all over this community because of you and what you're doing here. When I think of the 4 weeks of Advent, there are different aspects of Advent. One of them certainly is hope. And I think of those who are homeless, looking for some kind of hope. When I think of peace, which is oftentimes a part of this Advent, I think of people that are searching for peace in their life, don't know where to turn sometimes. For joy, I think of those that just a simple gift off of a giving tree, unexpected giving to our community. I think of, again, our church family and the difference of safety and security of our facility and so on. And I come back to this today as we wrap up this thing, is this. Can you believe it? God is giving us the opportunity to be a part of this and to witness the miracle, but be a part of the miracle too. And be open to what he says. Be open to what he shows you. And let's make it the best Christmas. Not just in this initiative, but in our lives as we make the space, Emmanuel, God with us. Let's walk with him this month and see what he's going to do. Take this card with me, if you will, and we're going to pray in just a moment. As well, you see the next step card there, and maybe your next step is baptism, water baptism. I'd encourage you to be a part of that celebration on the 16th as we look forward to that. Would you stand with me, please?